Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah amma ba'd fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim fazkuruni azkurkum washkuruli wa la takfurun fahal asaytum in tawallaytum an tufsidu fil ardi wa taqattitu arhamakum أولئك الذين لعنهم الله فأثمهم وأعمى أبصارهم قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري وأحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي صدق الله العظيم. We praise our most merciful, our beloved Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send salutations upon the greatest creation of all, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabi wa sallam, and we send peace and blessings upon the Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the Taba Tabi'een, the Awliya, the pious and the righteous. May Allah be pleased with them all. Now many of you will have seen the poster which says maintaining ties, and some will understand what that means, some will not be sure. Can anyone tell me what maintaining ties means? Or what they think it means? There must be somebody in this room who can have a guess. Maksud?
To keep connected with everyone you come in touch with, regardless of faith.
Yes, that's part of the answer. To be more specific, it's maintaining ties with relatives. So the Arabic for maintaining ties is silat al-rahm, and the meaning of raham is the womb. And the word raham is extracted from the name, the glorious name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. So when we make that connection with the womb and the meaning the most merciful, really we're talking about the ties of the womb. And what that means is, if you have the same mother, you have relatives, you have brothers, sisters, uncles, etc., etc. We will all define these as cousins, relatives. Some cousins are first cousins, second cousins, some relatives are closer than others. But really that term encompasses all of them. Now there's a hadith reported by Imam Muslim, and Abu Hurairah reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, once creation had been completed, the womb manifested itself in the physical form in front of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it held on to the throne, and it begged. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, what did it want? It said, and this is the womb, and just for children who are probably maybe not understanding the term womb, it's the area of the stomach where women hold a child before it's born. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, what did it want? And the womb said it sought refuge from the people who cut the womb off. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then made the promise to the womb that any person who cuts you off, I will cut them off. And anyone who joins the ties of the womb, I will have my mercy upon them. And I read a verse which was then recited straight after this by the Prophet ﷺ. It's from Surah Muhammad, verse 22 and 23. And the meanings is this. It says, then if you are sick at heart and frail of faith, you turn away from jihad, you are sorely expected to do mischief in the land, and you sever your ties of kinship. And the very next verse, it says, well, I'll just explain that verse first. So basically, it mentions the people who run away from jihad, the people who run away on the battlefield. We would think them as cowards. And within this same ayah is mentioned corruption. So the people who spend corruption on the land. And we see many countries, probably I can't find a country in this world where there is no corruption whatsoever. And within that same ayah, the breaking of ties, the ties of relatives, the ties of cousins is mentioned. So that should really give us an insight into the significance of this. And the next verse goes on to say, such are them, and this is the people who run away from jihad, spread corruption, and break the ties of kinship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next ayah, such are they whom Allah has cursed, so that He has made them deaf and blinded their sight. So not only it's not azab, it's worse than azab. It's a curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on people. And you'll have heard the verse, it mentions the word lana, and some of the elders will know the meaning of that. And, maybe people of my age probably heard our parents use that term. And it is far worse to be in the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next hadith is from, it's mentioned both in Bukhari, Tirmidhi and Muslim. So in 3 of the Sahih books it's mentioned, which should again give you the importance of this. Jubair ibn Mut'im radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the person who severs bonds of kinship will not enter paradise. So if you break off ties with relatives, you don't visit relatives, for whatever reason it is, it doesn't say there's any justification here. It doesn't say, okay, if they have done X, Y, Z, then you don't have to go and visit them. This hadith is quite clear. It's not disputed by any of the groups. You will not enter paradise. A further hadith, again, showing the importance of maintaining ties. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala narrated that he heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, indeed, the sons of Adam are presented to me every Monday and Thursday. So what we understand by this, that our deeds are presented every Monday and Thursday. And that is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recommended that we fast on Mondays and Thursdays. So when our deeds are presented, we're in a better state when we're presenting them. And this hadith goes on to say, the one who breaks relations with others, his deeds aren't accepted. So again, if your deeds are being presented on Monday and Thursday, and you're not talking to your relatives, they're not going to be accepted. So whatever you may have done that week, them deeds aren't being accepted. You're wasting your time. Why? Because of trivial matters in family, because of pride, because of ego, because we can't forgive, we can't say sorry to people. Simply because of that, we are going to lose out. Now, often people think maintaining ties is they come, I go to their house, they invite me, I invite them. But again, we have a hadith covering this. Again, mentioned in Bukhari, Prophet ﷺ said, he who gives equal treatment in response does not strengthen family bonds, but he is the one who through kind behavior strengthens his ties of kinship with those who sever relations with him. So what the Prophet ﷺ effectively saying is that if you think maintaining ties is they come, I go, they invite me to a wedding or a kika, I will do the same. But we know the flip side of that coin is that if they don't invite me, I'm not inviting them. They don't come to one of my events. When something happens to them, I'm not going to go to them. Prophet ﷺ said that is not what is called maintaining or strengthening ties. Strengthening ties of kinship is the one who doesn't come when you invite him, doesn't come when you have a situation, you still go to him. Now that, I suspect, is an alien concept, especially in our culture, because it probably goes contrary to what the elders do, what we've been brought up on, and what we still practice. Because we are probably told from a young age that we go to people, there are certain relatives, we are naraz with them. We may not know the reasons, but in every family, somewhere along the line, there is this issue. Again, given the importance of maintaining ties, we've already mentioned that your deeds aren't accepted on a Monday or Thursday. Now we're a few months away from the blessed month of Sha'ban, and we all know the 15th night is the night of forgiveness, and many of us will stay up that night seeking forgiveness. And this is a hadith reported in the book of Imam Bayhaqi. Hazrat Aisha al-Mu'minin radhiyallahu ta'ala anha narrates, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, once Angel Jibreel came to me on the night of 15th of Shaban and said to me that sinners equal to the hair of the goats of the tribe of Banu Kalb are forgiven tonight. But the one who sorts partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one who keeps grudges, one who breaks ties, one who drags his garments on the floor in pride and arrogance, one who is disobedient to his parents, and the one who drinks alcohol are not forgiven. So there you have it, and we will all know the 15th night of Shaban, Shab Baraat, even children will know about it, and many of us will stay up all night praying, seeking forgiveness. But here in this hadith, there are certain types of people who will not be forgiven. And again, it's mentioned, the one who breaks ties. So if you are staying up every single day on the 15th of Shaban and praying every single night for forgiveness, not many people have probably heard of this hadith. You now know about it. Now, one can say, okay, well, I'll still keep on praying because, that relative, I'm not going to go to his, or they've done this to us, they've done that to us. Then what are you doing? You're effectively going against her. The equivalent would be of somebody who's going to drink alcohol and still expects to be forgiven on this night of Shaban if he thinks, well, I'll pray tonight, but tomorrow I'll still be back on the bottle. I'm not going to give up. Just touching again on this concept that there will be people you visit, there will be people you invite, and they don't come. And if you continue to go to theirs, and you continue to invite them, and continue to maintain ties with them, even though they are not maintaining ties with you, one can feel that sense of, well, why am I doing it? They're not coming around to mine. Why should I go? I've been around 1, 2, 3, 4 times. They've not bothered. Again, I invited them to my son's wedding, but I heard they had their son's wedding last week. I never got an invite. And it was narrated from Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu that a man said, O Messenger of Allah, I have relatives with whom I try to keep in touch, but they cut me off. I treat them well, but they abuse me. I am patient and kind towards them, but they insult me. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you are as you say, then it is as if you are putting hot ashes in their mouth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue to support you as long as you continue to do that. Now, the Muhaddith said that this meaning of hot ash is like you are humiliating them by doing this good deed. So if you continue to maintain ties with that relative who does not maintain ties with you, often our culture, our society will think you're the weak one because you're the one who keeps going back to them and they are not coming to you. And what is the point? You are seen as a weaker party, that in that somehow they are higher than me, or they will think, well, we're higher than this person because he keeps coming and visiting us, even though we don't go and visit him. And so therefore, this hadith is giving you that comfort, it's giving you that solace, that really, in effect, it is you are humiliating them. Now, we may not see that in this dunya, but you will see the benefit of that on the Day of Judgment. And going on from this hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if you continue to do this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reckons it is difficult to do, an angel will be specifically appointed to support you whilst you do this. So really, as I've already said, is maintaining ties tit for tat. Now, we have this concept, especially again within the Pakistani culture, of a baji. Now, Uncle will probably explain to me, what does baji mean? Tit for tat? That's the real meaning of it, isn't it? I know everyone understands it, but we may not be able to explain it, but it's tit for tat. And what do we mean by this? If they invite us to their wedding, we give them £20. When you invite them to your wedding, they'll probably give you £25 or £30, and vice versa, and then you will go up £5, £10. So really, what you're doing is tit for tat. If they invite me to an akika, I will again invite them to my son's akika. Any kind of event, this is what we do. And really, again, all we are doing is our actions are resultant on what that other person is doing. If they're nice to me, I'll be nice to them. If they're not nice to me, I'm going to turn away from them. And really, that goes against the whole thread of this maintaining ties. And again, this concept of Haji, we feel almost pressured to stick by it. And what you're doing is, you don't want to maybe give the £20, but you feel you're obliged, you have to. So you're not only are you losing that money, you're not getting any reward for it. Why? Because your intention is wrong. If you corrected your intention before giving that £20, you're going to get the reward of that. Yet, what do? We probably give it begrudgingly, and we miss out on the reward. And so therefore, what is the point of it? Really, do we only give gifts on the basis we're going to get it back? I'm sure if I asked every one of you, you'd probably say, no. But the reality is, whenever we do a favor to someone, we give a gift to someone, we'll always be looking for something back one day. And we'll remember it. Because again, really we should be giving solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for anyone else. And if you expect that gift back, you've lost the reward of the gift. So you've wasted your £20 and got no reward. We may think it's an obligation or a fard to attend weddings, janazas, puris. Yes, once 40 people attend a janaza, the collective farz element goes away. So as long as 40 people are there, it is not fard upon you to go to a janaza. Same with these puris. Is it fard to go there? Are you committing a sin by not going there? I'm not going to say you're committing a sin, but whereas we think them things are fard, we must attend the puri, we must attend the janazah because we knew the person. Of course, if you want to go, you should go. I will encourage you to go. I'm not discouraging you from going, but what is your intention? Whereas this aspect of maintaining ties, this is fard upon you. It's not an nawafil act. It's not even a sunnah act. It is fard upon you. So when you are not maintaining ties, you are committing sin. And unfortunately, because of the time pressures that we have in this modern day, we only now tend to go when something happens, be it a death, wedding, new babies being born, etc., etc. But should we not be going anyway? Are we going to turn like the English? Because this is what the English are doing. You ask some of the elder generation, they will tell you, look, 40, 50 years ago, our family structure was like yours. But now that's gone. And really, when do they catch up? Weddings and funerals, that's it. They'll meet their long-lost cousins. And we are becoming like that. When we go to a wedding, or we are at a death of one of our family members, maybe the elders will point out, oh, this is so-and-so of your relative. This is so-and-so of your relative. And really, all the other days of the year, what we're doing, we're again busy, consumed in our lives, and we say we've got no time. Now, do we get choice of who our relatives are? Do we get choice of who our brothers or sisters are? We don't, do we? So really, sometimes people will say this, oh, he's like this anyway, or their family's like this, they are hard, they are harsh, that's their nature, etc., etc. That may very well be correct. I'm not saying that. But really, why are they there? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them to test you. We would all like the perfect family, no issues, etc., etc. But how would we get tested on this? Really, it's a matter of the ego. It's our ego which stops us in this, nothing else. If we think somebody has done wrong to us, we think we are justified in breaking off ties. If they've done wrong to you, you will get justice for it one day. The better option always in this life is to forgive. Why? We will want forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we gather on the plains of Arafat. Yet, are we saying we can't forgive a creation of Allah, another human being, a relative of ours? We are that hard-hearted, we can't forgive people. Now, another aspect is, again, you may have family events, you may have had a death, whatever it is. Sometimes people can't come. They may genuinely be busy. But what do? We think, why have they not come? They're not bothered about me. There must be some reason. They've done it deliberately. The mind starts going off. And that's because, again, there's an ayah in the Quran which discourages suspicion. Why? Because we don't know what really is going on in that person's life. They genuinely may be busy tonight. You've got to think the best of them. Yet we just jump straight to the negative, and from there, ill feeling, negative towards that person starts to develop, and the shaitan loves that, and he will put 10 on top. Now, often children follow their parents. We grow up with our parents, we see what they do, and often we copy that into our lives, especially when you get married. And if the elders are not maintaining ties, what are the children going to do? So if, for example, you do not visit a chacha, a mama, a puppy, for whatever reason, do you think your kids are going to do it? No. Because they're going to think, well, if you're not going, I'm not going. You're not encouraging them to go. You'll be probably discouraging them to go. And so what happens is this divide gets bigger, 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 so much so that, you may have not seen some relatives for 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. I know of an example of one brother where his chacha lived on the same street, and he hadn't seen that family in the 25 years. Why? Because, again, the elders, they were naraz for whatever reason, and obviously what happens is they won't encourage you to go around there. They won't say, look, we have issues with them, or I can't go to them for X, Y, Z reason. You go. They'll never do that. Why? Again, because of pride. They will think, well, if I'm not going there and you go, you're letting our side down. And this is what happens. Sides become in families. So that is why it's either all or nothing in these relatives. Usually, either the whole family is naraz or the whole family is razi. And we all follow usually our elders in this. And really, it's more aimed at the elders that they should change it. Because what happens is, as we get closer to death, you often find they start reconciling these long lost relatives. Why? Because they know the grave is coming. They then reflect upon the actions in their youth, in their mid-30s, 40s, 50s, didn't care about these relatives. The ego overtook them. But when you get past 50, 60 especially, you then start to reflect on your life. What have I done in my whole life? And what have I gained? Again, I know of some situations where you'll ask an elder, they've been around for 25 years, what was it over? And they'll say, actually, I can't remember now. Yet they're still in Raz over it. We have the story of the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, I'll just briefly go through his stories. His brothers were very jealous of him, and they plotted to kill him. And they threw him in a well, and they returned to their father saying a fox had devoured him, etc., etc. And another caravan was traveling, and they found him in this well. He was then sold as a slave, and eventually ended up in the household of the Aziz in Egypt, so the king of Egypt. And there was an issue with the Aziz's wife, and he was accused of zina effectively, and he ended up going into prison. And miraculously, when he came out of the prison, he became one of the ministers. And he was, I think, the Minister of Agriculture. And when the famine occurred, his brothers came and visited him. Now, they didn't know this was their brother. They assumed they'd killed him off. But when it was revealed, and Yusuf alayhi salam said, "It is me," he didn't say, "Why did you do this to me? Who, what, why, where now? How dare you?" etc., etc. Even when he eventually met his father, Yaqub alayhi salam, did he complain and say, my brothers did this to me, my brothers did that to me? You know, here these brothers tried to kill him. We may say that he probably had a legitimate reason to say something, but he still didn't. Now, obviously, I understand he's a prophet, and I'm sure we are clearly not at that level, but our disputes aren't at that level, are they? Nobody's tried to kill you, have they, literally? They might have killed you with your words, but nobody's tried to physically kill you. Another hadith, Abdullah ibn Awfa has said that once in the evening on the day of Arafah, the Sahaba were sitting around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam announced, anyone who has broken his relationship with any of his family should leave the company and not sit with us. Only one man sitting at a great distance stood up and left. After a while, he returned and joined the gathering. The Prophet ﷺ asked him why he had left after his statement, and the man replied, after hearing that order, he went straight to his aunt whom he had broken ties with. On seeing him, she asked how was it that he came to come and see her, because he hadn't come and seen her for a long time. And he repeated to her the order of Rasulullah ﷺ, on hearing which she made dua maghfirat for him, and he made a similar dua for her, and they reconciled after that. And the Prophet ﷺ was greatly pleased with this. He allowed him to join the gathering, and the Prophet ﷺ went on to say that Allah Ta'ala does not grant his blessings to a community where people are not maintaining ties. So if you think there's issues in your family, etc., etc., there's a reason why. Allah subhanahu, Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu does not grant his blessings where people aren't talking to each other, broken ties. Now, I'm not saying leave this gathering now, but people should make the intention tomorrow, the day after. Why? It's Christmas Day, Boxing Day. 99% of us will be free. Many people will not be working. And this is the real, true essence of taking advantage of Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day. People are off, and people should be going to see their family. What else are we going to do? Watch movies late into the night, get up at midday, maybe have a big meal. We complain that we don't have time. We all do. I do myself. We complain we haven't got time. Well, now you've got time. Nobody can say in the next 2 days, unless you're working, that I'm busy. Don't think anyone will be doing DIY on these next 2 days. We will be sat at home, literally doing nothing, and probably watching TV and films. So don't ever say, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got time to see them, etc., etc. These are just excuses we make. Anas ibn Malik reported Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as saying, it is not lawful for a Muslim that he should keep his relations estranged with his brother beyond 3 days. Now, when they talk about brother, they talk Muslim brother or Muslim sister, not your actual brother. So if the Prophet is saying that you can't be more than naraz for more than 3 days with any Muslim, how is it that we are naraz with our relatives for 3 months, 3 years, 30 years? You're not allowed to be naraz with any Muslim for more than 3 days. So if you've got an issue with one of your friends, your neighbors, you can control your anger, and after 3 days, you go and make up with them. And that's any Muslim. So now you can probably then put in the context, can I really not talk to my relatives for 3 months, 3 years? Will that be accepted on the Day of Judgment? This is not about winning or losing, as people may often think. People will think, if I go to them, they will think I'm weak. I've given him first. And that's what our culture says, that you are the weak one by going first. But what does our religion say? You are the better one. And unfortunately, our culture seems to have flipped that around, whereas you're perceived as the weak one in doing that. Often we have to accept reality. There will be issues in the family. We're not going to get away from these. And sometimes, yes, I'm not saying if you've had an issue today with one of your family members that you immediately go around. Sometimes give it a few days. Often time heals, bitterness goes down. But don't use this to think, okay, I'll give them 3 years. Go with a gift. Actually, a gift that you're not expecting anything to get back. Genuine, true gift, no matter how small in value. Have that intention. I'm giving it to seek the pleasure of my Creator, to follow the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged this, giving gifts to families. He said it's a way of softening hearts. And if you give a gift and they don't give a gift back, go and give another gift and keep on doing that. And you'll see the change in that person towards you. Because then they will think, maybe when you come round first time round, they'll think, oh, I wonder why he's come round. He must have some motive, some intention. Again, that's our suspicious nature. But once you go around twice, they'll think, he's come round again. 3, 4, 5 times, eventually the penny will drop for them. They'll think, well, he's come round. He's not asked me I need a loan or something, or I need the land back home in Pakistan or anything like that. He's actually being genuine. I would also encourage people to do that. When you go around, explain to them why you are there. Say that I was not maintaining ties. Take the blame upon yourself. Often what heals these relationships is somebody taking the blame. All somebody wants to know is who's right and who's wrong. Now, whether you were right or wrong, just say you were wrong. Ultimately, justice will be given on the day of judgment. If you say, okay, I was wrong, and that's all that person needed to say, because that's what is usually the stumbling block, if that helps you maintain ties, do you not think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shower you blessings? Now, a common question for this is people say, well, how often should I maintain ties? Do I go around every day? Every second day? Every third day? Really, it wasn't said by the Prophet ﷺ or in the Quran how often you should go around. Again, one should use wisdom. The closer the tie, the more you should maintain it. The closer they are to us, the more we should. If you've got a Chacha in Pakistan, I don't expect you to go around and see him every day because you can't. You may even probably see him physically once every 2 to 3 years. And give him the occasional call. I'm not saying, again, call him every single day or even every week. But now and again, you give the odd call, they'll appreciate it, and you really are then maintaining that duty. The reality, again, is our natural fitrah is that people are happy when they reunited with family. People will tell you from personal experiences that when you're apart from family, you are more likely to be unhappy. When you're reunited together properly, you're generally more happy. Another common question people ask is, okay, I've got ties, and these are called, ties of the womb are called blood ties, so i.e. your own siblings, anyone who's related through your mum or your dad's side. But, and this is again, obviously people who get married, are they ties of the womb? Anyone got an answer for that? Do we have to maintain ties with our in-laws? Hamza's nodding yes. Surah Furqan, verse 54, the English meaning it says is, and it is he who has created from water a human being and made him a relative by lineage, which is the womb, and marriage. So again, you have your, what we call our relatives from the mother and the father side, but when you get married, you effectively adopt a new branch of relatives, and you still have a duty towards them. The duty is not as strong as your own blood ties, but nevertheless is still a duty. And one should, again, obviously for your wife, that's her blood ties. One should be encouraging that. One should not be putting restrictions on that. Who are we to put restrictions on when this is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Again, people will say, well, I'm the husband and the wife needs my permission to go and visit her relatives. There is a semblance of truth in that, but really what you're doing is preventing her from fulfilling an obligation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Would we tell our wives not to pray namaz? We wouldn't, would we? Because we know it's wrong. And for various reasons, again, we will try to say, well, I'm not going around today, you don't go around again, because of issues. These issues will happen and will continue to happen. They will never go away. So you have a choice. You either break the ties and sit there for 20, 30 years, and then when the reality hits you, you'll then try to make that up. Or you do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and watch the blessings which then come into your life. Now, having said all that, people may think, I can't get over this issue that they've done this, they've done that, they never came to my son's wedding, my daughter's wedding. When we had a baby, they never came, or they came after 5 weeks, or whatever it is. And another hadith reported from Imam Bukhari, Prophet ﷺ said, anyone who wishes to have his means of livelihood enlarged and a prolonged life should treat his relatives with kindness. I'm not going to ask anyone to put their hands up whether they want more money in this world or they want a longer life. Here is, if you want that, this is what you need to do. So you're now being told what will happen if you do maintain ties. And this is not reward on the Day of Judgment. This is reward in this life. That your rizq will be increased and your life will be extended if you treat your relatives with kindness. So you can be selfish about this. You can think, well, I'm only maintaining ties because, I want to increase my earnings. I want to live longer. But really, as long as you maintain the ties, no matter what your motivation is, as long as your intention is correct, because really it is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you should really maintain that tie just for these kind of stuff. And you can all go back to your families tonight and you can tell them what you've learned tonight. And no doubt they'll say, yes, 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 but they've done X, they've done Y, they've done Z. And comes back to that central point again, we can't forgive them. If we can't forgive them, how are we going to maintain ties? And it seems to be that forgiveness issue for us. Yet, on the Day of Judgment, we'll be the first in line seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because what do? We break His commands every day. Every single day. So, how is it then you're going to ask for forgiveness if you can't forgive one of His creation who's actually a relative? We all make mistakes. And we should learn to forgive and really maintain them ties. Now, just to conclude, obviously I know this is a topic where often people have questions, and some of the common questions tend to be, again, as I've mentioned, they've done this, they've stolen our land in Pakistan, they've divorced my sister, they've done this, they've done that, whatever it is, there's no excuse. In not one of them hadiths I've found where it gives you an excuse, short of them physically attacking you. So if you open the door and they kept on attacking you, I'm sure, I'm not an alim, but if you go to an alim, they'll say, okay, that's fine, because you're under physical threat. But I've never really heard of an example like that, very few, far in between. Generally, even if you're not, you knock on their door, they will open the door, they will always invite you in. And so these are, again, people often have issues, I've got this issue, I've got that issue, this has happened. Does that effectively allow me to break ties? The simple answer is no, it doesn't. It doesn't say anywhere in the Quran or Hadith that you have a reason to break ties. Of course, use hikmah, use wisdom in this, but there is no excuse for it. I'm happy to take questions. I've got limited knowledge. Ustad is present if anyone wants to ask questions. In the sisters, again, there's a couple of sisters, if they can put their hands up, they can obviously text any questions that they may have in terms of this topic. So everyone's understood the topic? Everyone knows what they're doing the next 2 days? Cancel that Netflix subscription? Go and maintain ties? Oh, we do have one question. It says, it's a question from a sister, I try to maintain ties with members of the family whom I've had issues with over a number of years. I have now set the differences aside and I go around to meet all the family members. But they still don't come round to mine when I go around there, and I feel they don't treat me well. How should I deal with this? I did mention hadith which says that really, if you go around and they abuse you, don't treat you well, it's you who are humiliating them by maintaining that ties. And I'll use everyday language. It's probably going to be you, if you keep maintaining ties, you're going to have the last laugh on them on the day of judgment, because you maintain that tie for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Despite them throwing everything back in your face, you still did that. So therefore, the simple answer to that person should continue to do that. Make dua, give them dawah, explain to them that they should encourage and they should maintain ties, and give them the importance of this. And inshallah, we should all make dua that our hearts are softened. And I pray that we follow the Quran and Sunnah and we enjoy and maintain ties of kinship. I pray that whatever has been said today benefits me first and everyone else as well. If I've said anything wrong or not in accordance with Islam, that's my error, and I seek forgiveness from that, and all goodness comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.